Hello everybody, E here. Welcome back to From the Desk. I know I've been gone for a while, but I've been debating on how I wanted to carry on with this series. I want this series to be more about a writer's vlog than me giving you advice. But there are some things that I do want to get out there that I feel that either I do well or I have a very strong opinion on. Today we're talking about motivation. My strong opinion on motivation is that if you need motivation to do something artistic, you probably don't need to be doing that artistic thing. If you want to be a painter and you can't be bothered to paint, you don't have the motivation to paint, then you shouldn't be a painter. Take up another hobby, take up another career, whatever. Especially in the artistic field. Now I know we all have to live, we all have to eat, we all have to pay the bills. But if you are going into this simply for the status of being able to say, oh, I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm a actor, or whatever you want to call it, you're going into it for the wrong reasons. The people who go in it for the money are usually not any good. Of course, it's a great way to earn money if you can hit that level. But my opinion on this is if you need motivation to write, you don't need to be writing. But that being said, if you are hitting a rough patch in the road and you have writer's block, or if you have lost the will to carry on in a book because you've been working on it for so long, any of those excuse me, any of those things, then I am going to try and help you out. So first off, where do you find motivation? There's another one I'm not going to be good at, but I'm going to tell you how I find my motivation, which is just everyday life. Sometimes I will just sit and I will people watch. That's all I'll do. I'll go out to a coffee shop. I'll go out to a donut shop. I'll go out somewhere where I can just sit and watch people. Sometimes if I'm at the movies and the movie's not entertaining, I watch the crowd. Or I try to figure out, where'd that person spend their day? Why do they look a hot mess? Why do they look like they're at a wedding, but here they are at the movie theater? Those are the kind of things I find motivation in because I'm naturally curious. So use your curiosity to motivate you. Like, okay, well, let's say so-and-so comes walking in a door with a black eye. You ask them ask them if they're all right, and then later on, once that person is gone, hopefully to a hospital. No, I'm just kidding. But once that person has left, sit down and figure out why they have a black eye. Tell yourself the story. The motivation, like I said, motivation is a hard one for me because I don't have that problem. But so many people have asked me to cover this topic. I do have two things that I think the reason why I don't have problems with motivation. And those two things are, first one is story prompts. Anytime I get to a point where I have writer's block and I can't even, or I don't ever have writer's block because I never stop writing. But anytime I don't have an idea for a story and I'm stuck on something, I will go to online and just type in writing prompts or story prompts or whatever. And then I will go from there. It's the easiest way to jumpstart, and if you don't want to go people watching like I do, so this is, like subsection B of the first point that I made. If you don't want to go people watch, you can always just, cheat. Go out and say, story prompts are really very simple, ignition switches to your story. Say you have, write a story about a dog with no legs. That kind of thing. And then you sit down and you try to explain why the dog has no legs, but you try to give it a beginning, middle, and end, so it's an actual full story. Last on this is probably going to take up the most time, so I'm going to jump to that. So those two first things, if you cannot manage to find motivation, you probably don't need to be writing. If story prompts are not helping you, once again, it's probably not your career, it's not your field, so just move on. And there's nothing to be ashamed of for that. I'm not a brain surgeon. I'm not painting cars. I'm not doing any of these other jobs that are good in their own right. I write because that's what I do. That's what I enjoy to do. That's what I have fun doing. So, this is kind of life advice, period. If and I'm not saying go out and quit your job, but if you're not happy doing what you're doing, you need to figure out how not to do that thing and do something that you enjoy. And I know we all have aspirations to do things that we're not good at, but sometimes you have to face the music and realize that you just need to move on. This isn't a very good video on motivation, isn't it? Okay, so my number one, the reason why I don't have this problem, this is how I feel. The reason why I don't have this problem is because I built a routine very early on in my career. I came out and I decided I am going to write something every single day, even if that thing is just a blog post, or journal entry, whatever you want to call it. Because sometimes I won't post the blog back when I did blog. I won't post that. It's just there. And it's sitting on my hard drive or whatever, but I wrote. And then once I got into that routine, I told myself, okay, you are going to be writing fiction every single day. You were going to make something up. So what I did is I turned those journal entries into fiction. I would basically lie about what I did during the day. Nobody's going to read them, so it's not hurting anybody. And that's how I got started storytelling to begin with. I was a little kid. I was a huge liar. I loved making up stories. I loved lying, and the one that I tell everybody is, I was in class and we were doing show and tell, and I got up and I told everybody a story about how my baby brother had died over the weekend. And okay. Anyways, so it was terrible. Everybody in the classroom was crying, tears running down their face. And if you can't tell by now, I never had a baby brother. But where it escalated was my teacher called my mom to express her condolences, and I got in trouble. But instead of grounding me for life, I think I got spanked. I'm pretty sure I got spanked. But instead of grounding me for life, my mom went out. Well, she talked to my teacher, and they decided that I needed something to write on, something I could get my ideas out as quick as possible. So she went out. My mom went out and bought a typewriter. And I've been writing ever since. That's when I was 6. That was the first grade is when that happened. I even remember the teacher's name, Mrs. Kratz. In fact, that name's in a book coming up. Anywho, but that's some of the ways. The building of a routine is going to help you. Once you get to the point where it's like becoming addicted to anything. It's just harder to become addicted to things that are not automatically gratifying. Whereas a book, it takes so long, the process takes so long, and you're sitting here alone, usually, unless you're writing with somebody. You're sitting there alone, and you're dealing with this book, and all you see is this book over and over and over again, and it gets frustrating. Push through and finish it, because I promise you, once you get done, even if it's a hot mess, you're going to feel great, at least for one day. That gratification will feel great. And even if you don't ever do anything with it, it's not a failure, because all this stuff is practice until you click publish. On that note, I have been E, you've been you, this has been From the Desk. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.